Hey Soul Sparklers, it's all happening.
With a soul sparkle.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Soul Sparkle Living Show. I'm so excited to be back with you today and joined by my very special guest, Dr. Lucette Beall. Welcome, Lucette.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I've been waiting for this conversation because I know you have so much magic that is unfolding for you, and we have such a, I think, similar vibe when it comes to the idea of creating magical lives, extraordinary lives, like the possibility that there is so much more available to us and for us when we give ourselves permission to step into it. So that's really what I want to dive into today, because I know that you have an incredible story, an incredible journey, as most of us do that are on this path. And it's not always an easy or sexy one, but it ends up getting us right to where we need to be. So I'd love for you to share a little bit of your um, path around the transformation that you've had in these last several years. I know so much has shifted for you, 25 years in veterinary medicine, now more into focused on that plus, and the motivational speaking and the transformational work that you're doing. Do you want to take a minute just to fill in the audience around kind of that journey that you've been on these last few years?
Sure. Yes. Because it has been incredible. And, one of the things is it starts sometimes with the hard. That's what takes us to the place of being open to incredible change. So I just want to say, as I tell this story, if you hear your heart in this, just remember there's so much beauty in opening up in those spaces and allowing so much more in as you go through them. And they can be your ticket to a life you couldn't even dream of before. And so I owned my own, actually been a veterinarian 31 years, and I opened my own practice like 3 or 4 years after I graduated from vet school. From scratch, built it from scratch, opened it. And then I found myself in a challenge. Finally, had the courage to leave, my husband, who wasn't good, not only not to me but to our child. And 3 days after the divorce was final, I found myself diagnosed with I found breast cancer. Ended up diagnosed with breast cancer, and I didn't ask for child support, and I was self-employed, and I found myself facing 15 months of cancer treatment with no child support, no paid sick days, and, included 5 surgeries, 6 rounds of chemotherapy, 7 weeks of radiation, and there was a lot of other things in between for that 15 months. And that was the first spot that opened me up, because I had to learn to receive. I had to learn to receive to get through it in a way that I had never experienced before, and it changed my life. And then a year after I finished cancer treatment, my brother suffered a severe traumatic brain injury, and he wasn't supposed to live. Then he wasn't supposed to ever wake up from his coma, and then he was never supposed to get out of an institution. And he did all those things, but life was really hard. And 2 years after that, he found himself in a state mental hospital in Norman, Oklahoma, and he was going to have to live the rest of his life there. And the only person who could help him was me. But the thing is, everybody told me not to. My banker, my parents, every person in my life at that point in time were like, no, you'll lose everything. Except I have one friend who was like, you got to do what you got to do. Everybody else was like, you'll lose everything, you'll fail. And I just knew in my heart and soul that I was supposed to help him.
Yeah.
And at one point, literally, you'll understand this so much. I I left I just walked out of my business when all this was going down, went to my house, packed a suitcase, grabbed a notebook, went to Norman, got a hotel room, and I just interviewed my parents. He was in the middle of a divorce when he ended up, there
Mm.
were valid reasons, but
Mhm.
I interviewed his ex, or soon to be ex, and his counselors, and I went poured over his records from when my parents had put him in, a mental facility trying to help him, because brain injury is hard. It's really hard. And I would do these interviews and read these records, and then I would go to sleep at night, and I would put the notebook by me, and I would literally sleep a couple hours and then wake up, and all these ideas are coming to me, and I'm writing them in the notebook, right? And that's how I came up with how I could step out of my business to save him, what all I could do, the steps I needed to take to study, is it gonna be safe to bring him home? And because there had been some violence out of the brain trauma. And but I, with my medical background, could see things that others were missing as far as putting all the pieces together, right? And I brought him home and I got him on disability. I got him the right doctors, counselors, all the things. But what happened was, in doing all of that, I didn't have all the tools I have now to share with others. And I got lost and I got overwhelmed. And then I really started struggling. And so I got him on his feet. I got him living independently. He still needed help, but he was able to live a life he hadn't been able to live before, and have freedom again and not be in a mental hospital. And but I became imprisoned by the things I was telling myself without realizing it, right? I was taking it when it got to be a challenge in the business. I was replaying the things that people had said and then beating myself up because I never doubted I was supposed to step out and help him. My doubt came in, if it's hard, then there must be something wrong with me, right? And so
Mm,
it was beating myself up like
we
we've
do.
learned, like we've
Yeah.
learned, right? And granted, my mom didn't approve of it, wasn't helpful, and was in that judgment space. But if I would have understood the tools I have now, I would have been able to say, I know she loves me, she's doing the best she can, but I know my path, and I know that everything is going to unfold perfectly for me. Then 3 years of struggle, I was several $100,000 in debt, and I woke up one day and I just sat down and had a conversation with myself. Are you willing to go bankrupt? Are you
Mm,
willing to walk away from a business you've built for 17 years? And I was able to say resoundingly, no.
right.
And so from that day forward, everything changed.
Mm,
Within a year of making that decision and starting to make changes to go with making that decision again every day,
mm,
I went from several $100,000 in debt to almost out of debt in 1 year after struggling for years.
mm.
And then within 9 months, I paid a big cash down payment on my home, and another 3 months, it was my first year as a $1,000,000 business.
Beautiful.
And
Beautiful.
the thing I learned from those, the tools I have now are from that journey. And then I was able to use all those tools because in 2019, my mom's health was failing. They lived on a ranch, 500-acre ranch in Oklahoma. And I was here and basically in a quick I lost my mom in January of 2020. Everything they owned was on that ranch. My dad, I had to put in memory care here, and we're going into the shutdown. I'm running an essential business by myself. I have their entire estate and I'm living by myself. And I said, you know what? God, the universe, I'm not going back down that path I went before. I'm using every tool that I
Mm,
learned to keep myself not get overwhelmed, not, trust that it's all unfolding. Just as we have learned to say, everything is always working out for me. And after that year, that the success, because that was actually my first year. 2020 was my first year as a $1,000,000 business.
mm.
Through all of that, because I had learned all the tools. And then it became such a passion and such a calling to share those tools with others so that because I lost my brother last year in October,
So sorry.
10 years after I rescued him, so to speak. And I thought, who would I be if I had left him in a mental hospital and he lived 10 years, the last 10 years of his life in a state mental hospital? How would I feel? Because you're going to carry that around when you know that you were the only one that could help him and you didn't.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to justify it, but you still feel terrible inside, right? Versus who do I get to be because I had the courage to step out? But I
And
want
who do you
other people to
serve
have
now?
the tools.
Yes, yeah. It's like, how do
Yes.
you now take what you had to go through and utilize that to be a blessing to so many others that might not have again, the tools and the resources and the training that you're providing because you said yes, because you took the risk and were able to step in and support and help him when no one else would. I just think it's so beautiful when we're in w sometimes we call it the messy middle, like, we're in it, and it's messy, and it's not sexy, and it's, there's a lot going on around it, and you just think, "One of these days, this is gonna make for a great story." At least that's for me, what I tell myself. I'm like, "Someday, I'm gonna tell this story, and it's gonna help somebody," and somehow that helps you kinda get through it on the other side of it, and I think you are now doing such a beautiful job with your speaking, with the training, with the books, your new book that's coming out. I want to talk about that too. I think what a blessing that you're using all of those pieces of the messy middle that got you to where you are now, and you're serving in such a beautiful and magical way for those that might still be in it. They might
Right.
still and might not know what to do.
Yeah, and that's when you're in it, sometimes the trick is finding your way to seeing that it can be beautiful, that you can. I did not have to, in other words, I didn't have to suffer those 3 years if I would have understood more about the process of
Right.
how you can think. And that's why I want so much. That's why my passion, my mission is to give people those tools. So the
Yeah.
messy middle isn't quite as hard, that you don't drown in the messy middle. You have the tools to swim, right? And to find the beauty in the hard every moment that you can, because those golden threads,
Yeah.
when you are appreciating and looking for the beauty every second in the messy, that's what starts to lift you up. And that's what creates the vision of what's next and
Mhm.
takes you, because everything everything that I found in that year that I went from several $100,000 in debt to almost out of debt was available to me in those 3 years that I was struggling, but I was shutting my brain down by what I was telling it.
Mm.
So it
Yeah.
couldn't see, right?
The po
We don't realize that what we're telling ourselves, the old programming in our brain that comes back up in challenges, because
Mhm.
sometimes when it shows up the most is what's keeping us from seeing all the gorgeous solutions and opportunities that God, the universe, whatever you want to call that higher, is always sending us. It's
Yes.
not like it's only available. It's not like it's only being sent to us when we are in the right space. It's that we can't see it by what we're
Right.
telling ourselves. So if we just gain those tools to know, oh, wait, what did I just say to myself?
Yeah.
And then not just recognize it, but change it.
Right.
Reframe it. And that I have a
Hope.
lot of tools around reframe because that's the gift. And sometimes the reframe takes multiple steps, right? If I've
Yeah.
been telling myself because some teacher told me this years ago that I can't do math, and there's something that I really want to do that has math in it, I can't just do an affirmation that goes, I'm great at math and change it because I don't feel it.
Right.
But I can start with, what would my life look like if I was good at math and I could do this thing that I really want to do? And start to open the door to the imagination. Because when you do that, you're letting your brain kick in. And then your brain, as you continue to do that, every day tell yourself that. And when you do, you'll start to recognize, you'll hear your voice telling you something that's not true. Right. And then the next step can be, everybody's brain works differently, but there are multiple different types of brains that can do well at math. But sometimes teachers only know one way to teach it. So they see
Exactly.
you as a failure because they don't understand your brain. Right. And as you start to do these little different reframing things and get ideas in, all of a sudden stuff starts to show up. It can be in junk mail, it can be in an email. Right?
Mhm.
That you adult education to teach you, stuff shows up that's probably been there all along, but you never saw it until you started telling your brain a different story that it activated your reticular activating system and your cerebral cortex to look for it.
Right. It's so important. And I think too, so many of us, we have these preconceived ideas of what we're good at and what we're not, and who we are and how we show up. And one of the things that I've had conversations again with my mom over and over is she she really struggles with technology. I mean, she's 80, right? Bless her. And she's like, I'm not good at that. I'm not good at that. I'm not good at that. I said, well, let me tell you something. The fact that you tell yourself every single day that you're not good at it is partly why you're not feeling good at it. Right. And I try to reshift her perspective. And I think if we do this for anything that we feel like we're struggling or we're not good enough or not excellent or, it's not our expertise, it's like just even just shifting the way you talk about it is a huge part of that.
It's the first step. It's the most important part because the
Yeah,
rest won't come until you shift your conversation with yourself, right?
exactly.
Because your thoughts and your words are so powerful to your
Mhm.
brain. They are
Right.
telling your brain, if you keep saying something is hard, it's telling your brain, don't look for an answer because you're not going to be able to do it anyway. And so it
Exactly.
won't
Don't go
look.
there. Mhm.
Right. You have to program your brain, and you are programming your brain. The question is, are you programming your brain by default? Are
Right.
you programming your brain on purpose? 95% of our thoughts are repetitive.
Mm.
80% of those repetitive thoughts are negative.
Wow.
And negative attracts negative. So when you start down that negative pathway, it just builds. When you make an effort to start down the positive pathway and to recognize and reverse your negative thoughts and reframe what you're telling yourself, you rebuild what your brain can do. That's why
Right.
reverse, reframe, rebuild is so important. It
Mhm.
actually makes your brain function smarter. It doesn't change your IQ, but what it does is it changes the chemical balance in your brain.
Sure.
And when it does that, it makes your brain more efficient. It makes your RAS system look for the things that you want with incredible efficiency.
Exactly.
Yes. And your cerebral cortex gets a lot better at making decisions because you're giving it such positive feedback in the right chemicals, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin,
Mm.
versus the cortisol that rises in your brain when you're saying, I can't, and you get frustrated. So what we tell ourselves is everything, everything.
Mm.
And it
Really.
that's what the brain reset method is about. That's what reverse, reframe, rebuild is about. That's what your Extraordinary Life Institute about is. We're all came here to live extraordinary lives. And what we're learning and getting programmed from society is things that's not allowing our brains to create the extraordinary lives that we're meant to live because of what we've programmed. What's some of it programmed when we were little, but we can change all of that. We don't have to
True.
stay in that space. We just have to understand that we get to change it, we can choose to change it, and that we are already making all those choices, but we're making them on default. And we can learn how to make them intentionally.
Absolutely. I love this so much. And I love that you're offering, I know that you mentioned obviously the book that's coming out. Do you have a date yet when that's going to be available?
I'm shooting for publishing for the actual launch date to be April. So I'm
Okay,
busting it
perfect.
now because it's gone through a couple of
Yep.
revisions that it needed to, right? And
Sure.
now
Sure.
it's gotta be birthed into the world. So then there can be another one, right? With the
Right.
next round of stuff. You have to stop, revising and then just launch
Yeah.
it,
Get it
right?
out.
Yep.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So April for the book. And then you have a workshop that's also coming up that you mentioned. Do you want to share a little bit more?
I have a free workshop that I sent you the link for called Reverse, Reframe, Rebuild.
Okay.
And it is to give you those tools to start recognizing what you're really telling yourself and
Mm.
reverse that, understand that you want to reverse that, like from the negative to the positive, then
Sure.
reframe how to start that process of reframing the different things that you're telling yourself so you can start to let your imagination come in and create the life of your dreams. And
Mhm.
imagination is such an important part of creating a vision that fills your heart and soul. And the thing is that every single person has unique gifts and talents that they came here to share with the world.
Right.
And they can change over time. Like my mission and my purpose has changed over the years. And
Sure.
some people have their purpose when they're 10, right? And it's, think like Taylor Swift, but
Right.
other people's changes over time and there's no right or wrong. There's just this beautiful opportunity, right?
Mm.
And then we get to rebuild and create the life of our dreams by using these tools. And we're all meant to live in that way. And if you don't say yes to your dreams, your big
Mhm.
visions, you're not only limiting yourself, you're stealing from the people who are meant to have the gifts and talents that you have to share.
That's it. That's the key right there. That's a conversation that I've had over the years with so many women. It's the concept that it's not just the fact that you're not doing the thing. It is that you are robbing people of the blessing of the work that you are called to do, or you are being, in a way, selfish because you're not sharing. And I
Yeah.
think those of us that are called to a life of service and, really try to lead from a place of love and passion and purpose, when we are not fully visible and not fully expressing that work in the world, everyone is missing out. And we're being selfish for not showing up. And that's a hard one to swallow sometimes, but it does make sense because we're not selfish people, but it's like, oh, but by me not doing that thing, people are missing out on the blessing of why I'm even here, why we're here. So I just think it's so cool that you have truly aligned all of the all of the lessons, all of the experiences, all of the teaching and training, and it's like it's all come together, right? Like all of your professional expertise with your personal family experience, with your own health crisis and experience with the transition in your marriage, like all of those things have had to happen. And I'm the same, like all of the things that have happened have come together in a way that allow me to serve in a unique and different way. And just like you, it's your own unique special sauce, and you've created such a beautiful way for people to come into your world. Hopefully they'll come through the workshop. And for those of you that are listening, I'll make sure that the link to that is in the show notes and comments, so that way they can access that workshop with you. And then obviously, hopefully, want to follow you and your journey and get their hands on your book in April as soon as it's available. So exciting. So exciting for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
exciting. Yes. Yes.
Is there anything left for just, one takeaway or one or two thoughts that might be of benefit for those that are looking to create an extraordinary life and are struggling or wanting just one tip or one nugget of information that they could take away and begin today making a difference and changing their life?
The one thing that I would say, and I know you have systems around this, I do too, so they can easily find more about it. But when the one thing that is so important to creating your extraordinary life, your soul sparkle journey, is doing something every morning to get yourself in the best place possible, so that so you land in the place that you want to be first, the positive, before emails or social media or family, before things that start buffeting you around, because that's what begins to create your resilience. The one thing I did that changed my life forever, when I made the decision that I wasn't going to go bankrupt, realize at that point I was in a really negative space, right?
Mhm.
I felt like a failure every time I walked in my business and we were struggling. And we had lots of clients. That wasn't the issue. The issue was being out of the business for a year, not running it. And then, it wasn't a huge margin of profit. It isn't type of business for the most part. And so being gone from it, that can change things quite a bit really quickly. And then recovering from that, when everybody that was there was doing their very best. It's just the nature of the beast when you're not. And I was the primary doctor all those years, and I just walked out, right, to do what I was called to do. So it suffered in those. But the one thing that I did that changed forever, and that I always do, is morning routine. And I tell people, it doesn't have to be long. It can be 10 minutes, 5 minutes, because telling yourself that you don't have time creates a place where you never get out of the space you're in. Right. And if you just start with, 5 minutes of quieting meditation, or if you can't do that, do a guided meditation. Appreciation journal is one of the biggest things that can change your life, like a true appreciation, and then write it every day, because writing changes the tracks in your brain. That was one. And if I couldn't sleep at night, I still got up and did the morning routine. I didn't try to get a nap. Then I learned that getting in that chair, just that alone, would start to change my mental, right? So if I couldn't sleep, I might get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and be writing in my appreciation journal, right? And then I'd go through the day, have a great day, and be able to sleep that night, right? And so trusting, and then appreciation is huge,
Right.
and appreciation of yourself has to be part of that, Because in general, when we're in a bad place, we're criticizing ourselves. And you want to recognize that voice so you can change it, so you can reprogram your brain. And appreciation will do that in a heartbeat.
So beautiful. Yeah, I always say that gratitude is the key that unlocks the magic, and being
Yeah,
grateful
and it's
that are on their way. Yeah,
and it's so important to feel it in your soul, not I'm so glad I have a roof over my head. I hate this house, but I at least have a roof or this apartment or this, right? Because sometimes we do gratitude out of a have to,
right,
and we're not feeling it in our soul. If there's only one thing in your whole house that you really love, focus on the one thing you love.
right.
Right? If there's only 2 things in your job that you love, focus on those 2 things, because if you focus on all the things you don't like, then what happens is you're attracting more jobs that you don't like. So to get to a better place, you've gotta focus on the things you love and let that be the jumping off place for what's next.
Yeah. Ugh. I love it. I could talk to you all day about this because it's such a vibe, right? But I appreciate your willingness to come and share and just shine your light in the world the way you are. It's such a beautiful thing to watch your journey out. And I'm so thankful that we've had this opportunity to have this conversation. I'm sure we'll have plenty more in the future. And for those that are listening, we want to make sure that you follow Dr. Lucette moving forward, and we'll make sure that they have access to all the links and all the ways to find you in the world. Sound good? Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
and I just wanna say what a gift it is to be with you. I love your soul sparkle journey, and I know love everything about you. You are such a light and such a gift, and I
Thank you.
so appreciate that.
You're going to make me cry on a Tuesday, Lucette. Come on now. Thank you. We love you so much. Okay, everyone, tune in next time for the next episode of Soul Sparkle Living.
With a soul sparkle.